Meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Zelensky and our European allies represented at the White House yesterday. All of them, they got to see an iconic painting of Trump's fight moment at Butler, Pennsylvania. That was interesting, especially when Trump pointed to it and just said, yeah, that was not a great day. Slightly understated. Little gallows humor there. Lighten the mood. On the substance of the matter, after this confab yesterday, the next step is for a trilateral meeting. Russia, Ukraine, the West generally, probably as represented by the United States. And Zelensky's ready for that trilateral meeting.
No, we don't have any date. We don't have any date. We just confirmed after this productive meeting with the president and then with all our colleagues, with the partners, we confirmed that we are ready for a trilateral meeting. And if Russia proposed to President of the United States bilateral, and then we will see the result of bilateral, and then it can be the trilateral. So I said always, so Ukraine will never stop on the way to peace, and we are ready for any kind of formats, but on the level of leaders.
And the reason, in part, it was a productive meeting is because Trump said explicitly, I'm quoting him, there's going to be a lot of help. They are first line of defense because they're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved. The Europeans want to give protection. They feel very strongly about that, and we'll help them out with that. And it's interesting, the plaudits that President Trump received from people that were, according to the D.C. press corps, allegedly supposed to be embarrassing ourselves before and fraying these key relationships. Didn't sound like that. Mark Rutte, who is the Secretary General of NATO, had this to say to open the conversation with President Trump.
I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call. And from there, we are now where we are today. And that is, I think, if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to stop the killing. We have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure. It is a terrible war. So I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm. But Trump understands the kind of coverage he's going to get no matter what he does. And the accusations that will fly and the cheap insinuations. We're still getting Russiagate level insinuations about him being some sort of Putin toady. It's pretty pathetic. But he gets it. Doesn't matter. Always forward.
I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles around them, they would say I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about. It was a big one. But they don't even write about that. No matter what I do, no matter what, and this is not anything to do with you. It's probably to your advantage in a certain way. But no matter what I do, no matter what deal I make, from my standpoint, you'll come out good. Maybe President Putin will come out good. But they'll say Trump was absolutely horrible. It's just it. And I've lived with that for a long time. I've lived with it since just before the first election. I used to get great publicity. Now I get the worst publicity anyone's ever gotten in office. But I won in a landslide, so that people understand. They're the only ones that count, ultimately.
Mark Penn, Hillary Clinton's former pollster, posting on X, from what I can see, nearly 1 million people have died in the Ukraine war, and Biden was unable to even attend G7 meetings without embarrassing the country. In contrast, Trump is pulling off unprecedented diplomatic feats to advance serious negotiations that have a reasonable chance of being successful, and the press coverage of it has been ludicrous. If Obama had pulled off these meetings, it would be hailed as a tour de force rather than the downplaying and naysaying every move we see in the press. He may or may not be successful, but it is an incredible effort that should be respected and applauded, and for people involved, a new hope for designing a lasting peace with real enforcement, unlike the previous empty security guarantees. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Justin Logan, the Director of Defense and Foreign Policy Studies at the Cato Institute. Justin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
What say you with respect to these efforts and the way they've been executed by Trump in the last couple of days?
Yeah, you heard one of the European leaders there yesterday say that they've made more progress in the last few days than they have in the previous 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I think, Trump is driven. He thinks, he said it 1,000 times. He thinks this is a stupid war, a war that never should have happened, and he wants it to stop. His second inaugural address, he talked about how he wants to be viewed as a peacemaker. We'll judge ourselves not just by the wars we end, but by the wars we never get into. And so he's going hard on this. As ever, and this is every think tank dork across the land has to say this, the devil's in the details, right? These are really tough issues. Security guarantees are going to be tough to iron out in a way that satisfies both Ukraine and Russia. And this question of the territory that Russia holds in Ukraine is also a very thorny problem. But, I think it's very difficult to say, well, many people have, that the president is not, coming from the right place in terms of trying to end the war.
Right. And I mean, and to his point, I mean, he's the first one to say it. So oftentimes he doesn't get the credit, but you can understand why he has to point it out, because he doesn't feel like there's the appreciation that should be there, and not even just appreciation, just like at least just tell people, who I am based on what I've actually done. Not what I'm saying, like most politicians, but based on what I've actually been a part of doing in terms of, I really want peace. I really don't like seeing people kill each other anywhere in the world. And so, he made a reference to Israel and Iran, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Rwanda and Congo, India and Pakistan. I mean, there are a number of conflicts in which America has interceded under Trump diplomatically that have moved in a positive direction. Again, to your point, and to the point of all the think tank dorks, the devil's always in the details and the execution and the sustainability and all of those things, because it's the relations between countries are complicated. But in terms of what he consistently has done, it has been in that direction. Peace.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and you saw the sort of goalpost shift, right? I was, doing press in the lead up to the Alaska summit, and then at midnight after the Alaska summit on the East Coast. And, the initial thing was he's going to sell the Ukrainians out to Putin. And he didn't sell the Ukrainians out to Putin. And then we were treated to, Putin got to walk on a red carpet in Alaska.
Yeah, right.
And so you got to pick an argument to me. And so, again, I think it's very possible that we may go through a lot of these, interviews and a lot of discussion of a lot of meetings and come up with nothing.
Yep.
These are really hard issues, right? You have to be realistic about the prospects here. But the man is trying. He's not doing anything untoward. So let's cross our fingers and hope and pray that, we get something done. And you heard even Zelensky yesterday, who has had a very maximal, understandably so, diplomatic posture, saying, we're making progress. So let's keep grinding, right? We've thrown hundreds of billions of dollars in 3.5 years into the military effort. Let's put a little bit of shoulder into the diplomacy.
Well, and the expectations game. I thought, like Rubio in particular, and Trump has said the same over the weekend. Look, maybe it doesn't amount to anything, but there is some progress being made. We're in conversation. What can we do other than try to build on what Putin says he's open to, like some sort of, Article 5 modeled language with respect to security guarantees, and then start arguing about territorial lines and so forth. But what else can we do? I mean, as you say, now you want to say our expectation should be that Putin is without, secondary sanctions. If you just impose secondary sanctions, then Putin is going to turn tail and immediately withdraw, and everything will be pre-invasion overnight. I mean, that's silly. All it will do, most likely, is dig in further, because the costs Putin has paid already are way too high for him to just sort of turn tail and run. But you have people, Hillary Clinton, Margaret Brennan, talking about you can't set a precedent where any territory is ceded to an invader. Well, I mean, that's very, very fanciful thinking.
Yeah, I mean, international politics is an inherently tragic and brutal business. So I think you need to sort of square up to that. Again, we've been at this for 3.5 years, and Trump is sort of trying to unlock the thing, and I just think that's getting at it. It's the other side that's been missing. The next round of sanctions has always been the decisive one, but then the dog catches the car, if I can mix metaphors. And it turns out, no, that didn't actually work. It's very difficult to bring Russia to its knees by chasing around its oil that is in tanker ships that get flagged and reflagged and moved around. And so we were promised, everybody said, we need one more round of sanctions, and that'll force Putin into a no-conditions ceasefire. And I just think, nobody would bet the kids' college fund on that. No one. The people, pundits on CNN or anybody. Everybody knows deep down that that's not true. But there's this sort of one more round. It's like a drug addict, and it's one more hit. And that'll be the one that really does it for you. And we've been at this for, 3.5 years now. And it's time to come to the realization that, one more round of sanctions looks terribly unlikely to do anything. And, we've been getting a lot of slings and arrows from the Europeans. They're sitting on hundreds of billions of euros of Russia's foreign currency reserves in Belgium. They could immediately tap into those if they chose to do so. They're not choosing to do so because even from the European countries' point of view, yes, there is an interest in not having, Russia annex chunks of Ukraine, but it is not an unlimited interest. It's not an interest that overwhelms every other interest that European countries have. So there's a little bit of, maybe more than a little bit of hypocrisy going on here.
Yeah, and there's also just, the real repository of these farcical, really is almost a farcical notion, are the utopians among us who who tell beautiful lies and believe in sort of, magical things that can happen if you just apply the right amount of moral indignation. If there's enough finger wagging from CBS News in the direction with the backing of the politicians in the direction of Putin, then he's going to relent, and these are just not serious people. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, there's a very small c conservative versus capital P progressive point here, and that is that, the application of enough experts and enough, knowledge to a problem, can it solve the social life or can it not? And small c conservatives would say no. We sort of have fallen man. We have, aggressive, rapacious states, and that's sort of the nature of the thing. And the sort of progressive model is no, whether it goes back to Woodrow Wilson or whomever, we'll get the best experts on the problem and we'll make social life, if not perfect, close to it. And that's just a sort of fundamental disagreement about the nature of the world, not to be too cosmic here at 6:45 in the morning.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Putin doesn't sober you up about the nature of man, then I don't know who will. Justin Logan is the Director of Defense and Foreign Policy Studies at the Cato Institute. Justin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so